Hey everybody, GuanU15 here. Gonna do a quick beginner's tutorial to Stellaris. Stellaris, the grand strategy paradox space game. If you've never played a paradox game before, they're very much in what's we call the grand strategy game, where it's not just control of the little thing, it's control of the bigger picture of everything within your empire, within your world, within your whatever you're gonna have. So new expansion's out. The expansion's not necessary to play the game. I have it installed, but most of the time it won't even come up. Well, it'll come up a little bit, but this is going to be basically your first, 5-10 years, what you want to do, what you want to look out for, some pitfalls to avoid when you're creating a game, and we'll jump into it. So I'm going to hit new game. I'm actually, we'll start with a little bit of empire creation. So I've already created the Federation of United Species, which is these bird people things right here, but I'm going to actually edit them so you can see what it looks like when you go in and create it. And so all this is created already, but it won't be when you create your own. So when you create your own, you're going to want to pick from your appearance different types of whatever your main species looks like. Now this is just going to be your main species you start with that's in your empire. That can eventually change. I mean, it depends what type of game you're playing. If you're playing a game with a lot of migration, then you might have a very unique, developed culture with a whole bunch of different species in it. Or if you're playing some xenophobic species, you might just only have your main species for most of the time, unless you subjugate a bunch of other species or whatever. So we're not going to spend too much time on the species. You can name them whatever you want. You can go. You pick out your name, the ship name, the world name, the leader name, kind of template that the game will use. We'll talk a little bit about traits. This is the traits of the species. So when you're making a new empire, you can kind of break it down into two categories. You got your main species and then what your empire actually does. So when you're talking about your species, which will be your main species for most of the game until you start getting migration and moving about and stuff, then you want to, so this is going to kind of a little bit determine at least how you're going through a good part of the early game, into the middle game, sometimes even into the later game. The species, you get a couple traits to pick. I think you get 5 total, because some give you bonuses, some give you kind of negatives. So for my little bird guys here, I made them conservationists, which means consumer goods are a little bit cheaper for them. Consumer goods are kind of like a cost of living for, there's a big spider up there. Cost of living for your species. I found that in the later games, when you get really big, wide populations, the consumer good cost goes way up, and I wanted to keep that a little bit. It's in minerals, but we'll get to that later. I wanted to keep it a little low, so I went back. I decided they were fleeting, which means that they don't last as long. Their leaders die a little bit early, 10 years or so. The main reason I did that is because I don't put as much stock in leaders as a lot of people do. They're great. But I'll just hire new ones and go from there. And we're going to be industrious, which means we're going to get a 15% bonus on all our minerals that we go and harvest. And so that's my species right there. You pick out your ruler, your name, blah, blah, blah. You can change the color of their skin and stuff like that. And then we're going to look at the homeworld, where these people are from. The starting random solar system doesn't really matter too much. Just name your world, name your star name. And then you can kind of choose what you want between what type of world they're native to, which one they have the most habitability from. I picked a tropical world. They're birds. Birds like tropic stuff, right? So that means, if you kind of look down here on the tropical preference, quick note, for most Paradox games, especially this one in particular, the great thing about them is that they tell you exactly why something is the way it is. You just got to hover over certain things, and it usually tells you this big breakdown. So if you look here, what it says is this tropical preference means that tropical worlds, I got an 80% base habitability. Continental and ocean, 60%, and then it drops off dramatically from there. Now a lot of the game's going to be kind of getting that habitability up for various planets, so you can colonize more planets. You can build kind of tall in this world, but you do need a little bit of wide as well, at least to kind of be able to make those giant fleets that you want. So I'm gonna stick with the tropical world. It's the wet climate. It's basically what I'm gonna be looking for is If I was a human species, I want tropical worlds, I want ocean worlds, I want continental worlds. Select your city appearance, all cosmetic. Okay, then we get the other half, the empire section. Now this empire is completely detached from the species section. So think of the species as part of the empire. Now, all species in your empire get this ability. So I went ahead and made I had a democratic. For some reason I thought I had it at oligarchic, but it must have changed when I changed over. But anyways, so you get a few ethics points. You get 3 ethics points. This is important right here. Because sometimes you can kind of screw your game over without even noticing before the game even starts. So figure out what type of game you want. If you want a game where you just sit back and be pacifist and kind of diplomatic, then you can do that. Where's the pacifist tree? Right here. Fanatic pacifists. Don't just look at the empire modifiers, because this is how you can get into trouble. So I wanted, like, the first time I played, I wanted a big empire, right, with a lot of core sectors that I can completely control. So I said fanatic pacifism, monthly unity plus 40%, plus 4 core sectors, which means I can control more sectors directly without having to rely on different governors to do it for me. The problem with that is that once you're a pacifist, you are a pacifist. I mean, your population demands you be a pacifist. So you can't just go willy-nilly looking for wars. If you get boxed in, that's kind of where you're going to stick for a while. You can do defensive wars, you can do defensive wars of liberation, but you really can't conquer much with the pacifism. On the other side, if you're a militaristic, then your population is going to want you to attack more. The other 2 that are big are the xenophobe and the xenophile. Xenophobes, basically, we don't trust other species. Our populations, our factions are going to want us to stay out of diplomatic agreements, not join alliances. Again, I picked this at first because it's cool. You get a plus 30% border range. That's awesome. I like big empires. Unfortunately, it means it's harder to get yourself into diplomatic situations with other empires. So for the ethics for this group, I went ahead and made them fanatic egalitarians, which means everybody's the same. Again, because I wanted, first I wanted my factions to be kind of solidified, and the consumer goods goes down. I'm really big about that consumer goods. And I also picked Xenophile because I wanted to have a game where I'm building federations, big alliances to take on other groups. I didn't do fanatic, just did a little bit, which means it's a little bit easier for diplomacy and stuff like that. Apparently this was my only one. This authority is like what type of empire you have. Democratic, oligarchic, dictatorial, imperial, and hive mind is something special that only hive minds can take here. Let's see. They are specifics, so you'll see that if I want to be oligarchic, I cannot have the fanatic egalitarian. So that's what happened. I originally said regular egalitarian, and I could pick oligarchic. But once I became fanatic, I was kind of deposed into that. So I could have picked dictatorial. Nope, can't be that. Imperial, cannot have fanatic egalitarian. So egalitarians, of course, means everyone's a little more equal. There's less power centralized. So you're going to have less things like dictatorial and imperial and stuff like that. Okay, so that's the authority. Doesn't really matter that much, other than that your leader might come up for election or whatever. If you're an empire, then it's an heir that's passed down. At least with the democratic, then we're going to be able to try to sway. We can sway the vote for who our leader is, which can be very useful at the very beginning. So our civics, we could then pick a few civics. These civics are very, very much determined by what civics you have available is determined based on what ethics you have picked. So if you'll notice down here, so I picked efficient bureaucracy because I wanted a few more core systems, and I picked mining guilds because and bonus to empire mineral production. Mineral production is going to be key for the game. You want minerals. You want a lot of minerals early. You want them often. You want to go nuts with them. But if you look down, there's a few in here that I wouldn't mind having. Nationalistic zeal increases my border range and gives me an additional maximum rivalry. Why can't I pick it? It's grayed out here, as you can see, because there's a little X that says I need a degree of militant. So had I picked egalitarian and then a little bit of militant, and then I can go up, and then I could definitely take nationalistic zeal. But I chose not to. It's the same thing for others. I want exalted priesthood. I need some degree of spiritual, some degree of oligarchic. So you can kind of look through here. One thing that's kind of a little bit useful is you start with your civic. Look kind of what civic you want, and then maybe fit your ethics to that. So if you want a bunch of slaves, you need some degree of authoritarian. So if you want a slavers guild, which increases your slave output, then you got to take at least some authoritarian. So that's that. This is again the empire section. Empire and species completely different, but working together. So because within our empire, eventually we'll have a lot of different species. Species are cool because eventually you can start to genetically alter the species, and stuff's pretty neat. Okay, so we picked we named our empire, we got our flag, picked it out, and now we're doing our starting weapons. I highly, highly recommend you pick projectile or missile weapons. Energy weapons are weird. They're cool, they're flashy, but they can be a little bit dicey as far as making them, getting the technology to get better ones that actually do something more, do more damage. One thing about this game is you don't control the technology directly. We'll get to that. You have limited ability to control it. Think of it as that people are making discoveries as you go. So you can't, there's no tree to follow to be like, ooh, first I get this, then I get this, then I get this. It'll be first I get this, then I have the possibility of getting this, but I might not until later. So missile weapons, at least you'll start with something a little more powerful. You'll be able to You'll be able to defend yourself a little bit better, especially early on, where it can get a little annoying. The early game to this is pretty difficult. Let's talk about FTL method, our faster than life travel method. Now it says warp travel is for new players. I disagree. I think warp travel is annoying. Warp travel means you can basically go any direction you want as long as the star is within range. It's cool, it gives you a lot of options to move around, but also gives your enemies a lot of options to get into your territory. Wormhole travel, we're not going to talk about it. It's pretty advanced. You basically have to build wormhole generators to places you want to go. It's kind of complicated. We're going to do hyperspace travel. Hyperspace gives you basically hyperspace lines. So what do they call it? Hyperspace path. They call them hyperspace paths. So if you'll see when you start the game, and you'll see this when we start, one star will have a path to several other stars, or maybe one other star, and those are the only places at the beginning you can travel to. That'll change later on in the game when you get really advanced form of travel engines. But for now, for the most part, it'll allow you to create choke points, defensive points, really good ways that you can stop enemies from getting in. Because this game can be annoying. Ship appearance, purely cosmetic. I went and picked Avian because I thought they looked cool. Anyway, so we'll go back and we're going to pick these guys, and we're going to go through here. Galaxy size, I'm going to go ahead and hit large. I don't want a huge one. Medium's a little small. So galaxy shape, ring, elliptical, spiral. I like the spiral forearms. I kind of like that a little bit. Rule 12 AI members is fine. Advanced AI starts. That's how many start a little bit ahead of you. I don't like that many. And max fallen empires. Fallen empires can be a bitch. They can get in your way. They eventually become what's called, they call it enlightened? No, they call it awakened. And then they get pissed off. So think of fallen empires, max fallen empires as empires, the gray aliens from like Stargate. They got super advanced technology, super advanced ships and firepower, and then they just kind of sit there and they don't do anything. And they consider all the other species like inferior, almost like ants. We don't care about them. And they just sit there and do their own thing. But they all have some sort of agenda, like they want to protect holy worlds, or they want to make sure nobody encroaches on their territory. So it can be a little annoying with them. And eventually there's random what do they call them, end game crises, where they become awakened, and then they're like, all right, let's go fuck some shit up, and if you're not ready for it, you're gonna get fucked up. So I'm gonna leave that at 2 instead of 3. Well, yeah, 2 is good. AI aggression is normal, difficulty normal. I want hyperdrive. No, I did want the hyperdrive. Empire placement random, advanced neighbors off, endgame prices on. That gives you a little bit of interesting stuff later on in the game, this shit that happens. And I'm going to play with Iron Man mode on because that's how we roll. All right, and we'll start the game up, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so this is our starting screen. I didn't put anything in here. This Federation of United Species tells you all about our ethics, our traits, etc., and we begin. Now, paradox game. What's paradox game mean? Single player, you're paused. Pause game. You can continue. You can go slow if you want, but I like to go. I like to pause until I figure things out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get out. This is my system view. Basically, it's showing me the system, the Persephone system, which I named. This is my home system. My main planet, Avery, here, which you can kind of take a look at. We'll click on it. There's our little governor there. He does some things, tells you exactly what he does. Capital world, so it does a few extra bonus things. Nice things here about the resource output. This is our unrest. We got 0. And we can kind of look. We got a surface tab, shows us how much on different surface things we can go ahead and exploit and go ahead and build shit on. You'll notice some of them are kind of darkened off. That means that we need to clear them. So there's industrial wasteland. We need to clear it. It tells us how much it costs to clear it. We're not going to do that right now for a reason we'll get into. But that's it. So we look at our army section. We got a bunch of defensive armies, but that's it. And we have a spaceport capable of producing, it's a really level 1 spaceport that's capable of producing a science ship, construction, corvette, a bunch of other little things, but nothing super important. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click this button down here that goes to our galaxy mode. Galaxy mode is going to show me where in the galaxy I am. Okay, so we're going to zoom out here, and we can kind of see we're on the inner arm over here. Not terrible. We got a choke point right here that we can kind of block off, and then we don't got to worry about anybody coming from this direction. And we can expand this direction, another choke point here, or potential choke point here, another potential choke point here, over here. So we're going to be able to kind of move around, and this will be a fairly good spot. I'm not too worried about it. Also, those fallen empires that I mentioned are usually kind of on the outer rings, so I'm okay being in here. Looking at the immediate area around me, you'll see this green or this purple area. This is my color. It'll change with whatever your main color is. This is my current border of my empire. Once a system is in your border, nobody else can touch it. Basically, they can't colonize your worlds. If you want to close your borders, they can't move within your borders. But borders are good, or your border range is good, because that's going to let you have more options of where to go. We're looking around, we'll see that all these systems are kind of gray, because I don't know what's going on with them. In fact, if we look into Persephone, that's gray too. So basically, think of it this way. You're starting out, you're just your science ship. We'll click on my science ship here, right over here, the UAS Spiteful Hatchling. Alright, let's just rename that as the UAS Explorer 1. UAS, United Avian Systems, or something, whatever I named them for. So I'm going to take this science ship, and the first part is exploring. We want to be able to find out where everything is. We'll notice what we got. Let's see here. We got our main planet right here, the tropical world. It's got 1 moon on it. We got a couple other smaller inner worlds, almost all barren. An asteroid belt with 3 asteroids on there. And then we got a couple gas giants out here. Some moons on them as well. We want our science ship to explore this stuff, to find places where we can put down minerals, where we can gather minerals, where we can gather energy. That's what we need to make our empire go. I'm going to click this, and I'm just going to, if you right click on something and go down to survey, it'll go ahead and move that ship over, and it'll start surveying for you. However, you can also just do survey system. Oops. And it'll show you the path it's going to take. It's going to queue up a bunch of areas, going to survey this whole thing, let me know when it's done. After that, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our little home planet, go to spaceport, and we're going to build another science ship, because I want to be able to explore around here. They cost 100 of our minerals. We only have 100 left. And all right, so let's look at these this whole bar up here. All right, you're going to see there's basically 5 types of currency in this world. There's energy, minerals, food, influence, and unity. And then we also have our science, different types of science over here. Energy, you're going to need to make things power. It's not super essential as long as you're at a small bonus or like small net positive. That's fine. You do use it a few times to like clear areas and stuff like that, clear block territory. So if I look at this, go to my surface, I click on this right here, you'll see it says Sprawling Slums, costs 40 energy and 40 minerals to get rid of, and it takes 90 units. Keep this as close to 0 as you can. I mean, if it's bonus, that's fine, but don't prioritize this right away. We got minerals. Minerals is what we want. Lots and lots and lots of minerals. Our ships cost minerals, our consumers, our population cost minerals, our buildings cost minerals. Everything costs minerals to build and maintain. Prioritize getting minerals first. What you're going to see is that as you build, we'll let this go as we talk. I'm going to keep it at low normal speed. You can change the speed up here while it goes, just so that I can talk and kind of do some stuff. So I got my construction ship here as well. I'm going to kind of follow it because if I find a place where I can harvest minerals, I'm immediately going to build a place to harvest those minerals. So anyways, we want minerals. We want a buttload of them. Food, you want bonus. Food basically represents how much surplus food you have to grow your empire. All right, so you can see this says this is a little 2 here. That means that there are 2 things here that I can go ahead and, if I build right click here, build a mining station on here, then I'm going to get these 2 monthly minerals to go to my little plus column right here. So that's good. I want to build my first probably 2 or 3. I want to build mineral stations just to get those minerals up. So food you don't need. I mean, it maxes out at 200. After 200, you can't hold anymore. So we'll pause that real quick. So food, probably a plus, I don't know, plus 3, plus 5, that's fine. You don't need a lot of food. Just kind of keep it plus, otherwise you're not going to grow. Ooh, excuse me. Influence. Influence is one of the harder things to come across at first. You'll see I'm only at plus 3. Influence is used to create colonies. It's used to do edicts. Edicts are things you can kind of manipulate your population to do. To recruit. It's used to recruit leaders. It goes up all by itself. And this isn't something you can usually impact a lot. The easiest way is to fulfill mandates at the beginning, but just kind of let it build for a bit. And then we have Unity. Unity is the new thing. If you've played Civilization, it's very similar to the different categories they have for Civilization. Kind of determines which way you want your empire to go. Expansion, domination, prosperity, harmony, supremacy, diplomacy, and discovery. You can kind of hover over it to show you what she does. So it does something when you adopt it, and each little thing does something more. Determines pretty much how you're going to, what bonuses you're going to get. If you want to research a lot, you're going to want discovery. If you want to conquer a lot, you want supremacy. If you want to just expand a shitload, you want expansion. Prosperity is money, harmony and diplomacy is diplomacy. Figure it out, it's cool. Once you go ahead and unlock all of them, it gives you one of these ascension perks. Ascension perks are pretty neat. They do some powerful stuff. And we'll get to those eventually, but I highly recommend you pick one and fulfill all these, all 5 of the little tree things and get your ascension perk, as well as what does something. So if I hover over prosperity, it says, adopting all prosperity tradition reduces all terraforming costs by 33%. In addition, you will unlock the 1 ascension perk that I mentioned before. This is pretty good at the beginning because it reduces our mining station cost by 33%. We can build more of those. And Discovery does the same thing, but with research. So I haven't figured out which one I'm going to do yet, but we'll get there in a bit. So anyways, we got this new ship, right? This great new spaceship. You can kind of see over here, this is your outliner. You can move it around and get rid of it. But it shows you also kind of reduce things if you don't, once it gets too big. My core planets are all going to be here for easier access to determine what I'm going to do with them. So I got a science ship. I love this science ship to go on and start exploring. I can right click here and you see this survey system, when I right click on it, is rented out. I mean, because it tells you why. It requires a scientist. So I need a scientist. So I'm going to pick this ship and let's make this the UAS Exploder. So we got Exploder. We got the Explorer and the Explorer. I can click here, assign leader. And I'm noticing my my videos covering most of that, but we're still good. I need a scientist. These scientists are busy doing crap. It tells you right there, busy leading, busy surveying, busy leading, busy leading. So I'm going to recruit a new one. See, it cost me 50 this stuff. What is it again? Influence. And it tells you what his specialty is. So this guy's specialty is research speed, biology. This guy's is research speed, industry. And this guy has a longer lifespan. I'm going to take a look at mine. And these aren't great. I kind of want ones that have anomaly research and anomaly discovery. But since I don't have anything, I'll just take the guy who's going to live a little longer. Barakai! Barakai! Recruit him. So it's available. Bam! He's assigned to my ship. Now I get to send him to explore. This hasn't, if I hover over there, so you can see that there's a few places that I have actually, like, we've noticed, we've sent probes to as a non-space-faring civilization. There are 3 planets in this system, tropical, ocean, and Arctic. So those tropical and ocean worlds are going to be something I want to know about. And up here it's an ocean world, also something I want to know about. But tropical worlds, so you'll see that this is kind of a green, half not, half gray. And this is half yellow, half gray. It basically means that they haven't been explored yet. I don't know exactly what's going on. If I click on it, it says Irani 2, not surveyed. I don't know if there's anything special going on here. I don't know. I can't look at the surface or anything like that. So I'm going to take my ship, right click, and say survey system. Now, a nice little tip and trick here. Let's say later game or later, I just don't want to deal with this for a while. You can actually queue these. So you pick your survey ship, you hold in shift, you go survey system, survey system, survey system, survey system, survey system. And you'll see it'll queue up and do all of those. I don't actually want to do that because I want a little more control over it. So I'll just say survey system. Send him to there to survey. While we're here, let's look at this. You notice this 2 minerals. There's going to be, whenever you see something here that's white, that means you're not currently collecting it. So once and you can see this construction ship is currently building the mining facility. Once this is done, then this will disappear. I mean, it will basically turn green once we do our detail mode on, but it's nice because it tells you that there's something there you're not currently collecting. And you'll really see a little bit more of that later. So let's look at our technology. Technology is divided into 3 sections: physics, society, and engineering. And within them, they're divided into like subcategories. So physics, particles, society, engineering, industry. And you can kind of see that these fall on that same thing. So basically, each section is going to allow me to pick one to research. So let's look at my physics. This guy gives me a 2% bonus just by being here, and he gives me a 10% bonus if I pick particles. Now, these are the 3 I can pick from. None of them are particles, so that doesn't help me at all. So I'm just going to pick something that I think is going to be useful for me. Most of these might be a little confusing. If you hover over it, tells you kind of what it does. Unlocks different modules, unlocks a building, unlocks an edict and a building, and it tells you how much it costs. I think it tells you roughly how long that's going to take to get there at your current level. This is 30 months. So I'm going to take solar panel network, which will take me 30 months. And if you kind of look, I'm getting 7 engineering per turn. Divide 360 by 7, and you get about 30. Let's see here. So let's go to our society. He doesn't have any specialty. He gains experience faster. And I can pick different ones. The heritage side is good. It produces unity, but it costs a little bit more energy at this stage of the game than I want to put into it. Biolab's good. I mean, it allows me to research more things. Get more biology research. However, like I said, you want to start the game to get as many resources as possible. I'm going to take planetary unification, which gives me a bonus of +1 monthly influence. If you remember, influence is this little thing up here. This is what we need to make colonies, to recruit leaders, do all stuff like that. So I'm going to do this guy. And it tells you a little bit of a path sometimes. It's an administrative path. It says this technology will lead to further advancement in capital buildings and influence gain. Updated planetary capitals are required for higher-level buildings. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. And our engineering, let's see. Ooh, so we got one here. So his bonus is industry. And we can pick from Corvette Assembly Yard or a mining network, which does have industry. Mining network allows us to upgrade our mines so we get more minerals. All these are very, very good. I'm going to pick this one because I want more mines. Mines are great. So you'll notice this one, they all cost 360, right? This takes 30 months, this is going to take 30 months, this is going to take 25 months. Why? Because you'll notice this bonus here, because this guy gives me a plus 10 bonus. These guys are all level 1. And you'll see there, I got one little star here. It tells you the research speed. As they do things, as time goes on, they will level up. My guys are going to die a little bit faster because they're a little frail. They're birds. They just fall apart. They're birds. Yeah. So I went ahead and did my research. We're good. If I had missed one, it would put a little notice here saying, "Hey, do some shit." Right. So that's that. Let's look just quickly at this top here. This is our government. So the Great Bird of Ka. That's currently our ruler. Our ruler gives plus 10% minerals and a monthly influence of plus 1. So those are pretty good for our current ruler. I like this guy. Tells you our governing ethics. This is currently what we can't get rid of. This is our ethics. And our civics. Remember, there's 2 things we picked. Eventually we might be able to reform our government, pick something new or get another one. Budget, give me a quick overview of how much energy I'm producing and getting. Gives you any economical effects you might have. Eventually you might get cheaper ship upkeeps or increased energy or something. And our demographics. Demographics, you can see we are 100% Avery. Now demographics are going to be the type of species we have in our empire. You notice we have plus 10% minerals. That's because that's the thing we took as avians. Eventually, if this is like 50% avian and 50% somebody else, this might drop because we're not all avians anymore. But they might have a bonus that they grew too. Alright, so that's that. What's this tab? Contacts. We don't have anybody in contact currently. This is our situation log / quest log. Each ruler has a mandate for their time. I highly suggest doing the mandates if you can. This guy wants me to build 4 research stations. If I do so, I get like 250 influence, which is nice. Keep me up in influence. But research stations are great, but I don't want to prioritize them right now. I want to get minerals as much as possible. This last tab here gives me a whole bunch of stuff. Plants and sectors, which I don't really need. Policies and edicts. Different things that I can go into. Factions, which I don't have. Strategic resources, don't have any. Tells me all different species. Once there's a bunch of species here, I can set their rights. I can make them slaves, make them full citizens, control their migrations. Eventually, I can genetically modify them. All things for later on in the game. Not necessarily we need to talk about right now. We can see our leaders. I got one governor apparently. Oh, he's our starting governor. What does he do? Didn't do anything. There's our traditions and our expansion planner. Once we start surveying new worlds, it's an easier way to keep track of what you want to colonize. And our ship designer, which we have not really done yet, but eventually we can design ships. I mean, this is where you design the majority of your vessel stuff. We don't have anything because resources are crap. Remember, we started with missiles, projectile weapons. So we got 3 nuclear missiles on our corvettes. We don't have any other things, just enough energy to make them run. So they're going to have to do for now. I think we start with a small fleet of 3 corvettes, and then I'll have to do for now. So let's let this run. I should have been having it run, actually. I'm going to increase my speed a little bit just so you can see some of the stuff that happens. As my guys go around, one thing to notice. You'll notice my survey ship hasn't left yet. Why? Here he is. They need to get to the edges, the boundaries of the system before they can engage their FTL. So you'll see he's going to head over to here. His orders, he says he is surveying. Ooh, no. Oh, that's his orders to survey. So he's going to head out here, and then it tells you that how long he has before he can jump. He jumps in 8 turns, 8, 7. Look at that days go down, and then we'll see him jump here in a second. There he goes. Yay! He's going to get here, and he's going to immediately start surveying. Exactly what we want him to do. All right, so our first mine was done. You notice our minerals jumped up to plus 15 from plus 13. Gives us a little notice here. Right click if you want to get rid of it. And that plus 2 has disappeared. It hasn't really disappeared. If we do the detailed map mode, you'll see that it's there, but it's blue, and that means that it's currently being gathered by us. Detailed map mode's great for a lot of things, but eventually you'll want to see. You don't need to see everything. Like, there's also another planet here. It's a savanna world. Why do we not see it? Because our habitability of savanna is really, really low. Like, we cannot even come close to colonizing it. I think it's like 20% is our have it. So we'll get rid of that. Okay, so this is gonna from time to time we're gonna get random events. This is the discovery of alien life. It says we found life on Iranari 2. Let's see what they found. It gave us 60 society research, just for the hell of it. Let's take a look, see what we found. Oh, look, we found some alien pets and stuff. So there's nobody actually living here. It's just we found life. Think of it as non-intelligent life, because I mean, face it. Think of us, there's our simple forms of life. If we went and just started exploring the world, or the solar system, we found life, and even was crappy life, that's a good one. What do you call it? Intelligent life, then we would be thrilled about it. Never mind. All right, so my guys, you'll see that they're starting to pop up with stuff. This is great. 5 energy on 1. Looks like, yeah, that's great. No, it's 3 and 2. Okay, and then 3 there. Like I said, prioritize minerals at first. So we're gonna send them over here to build a mining station. You notice my energy is only at +1 now. Why is that? Because my station costs 1. This station right here, it actually tells me too if I click on it. Tells me, look at that, maintenance is 1. Oh, might not be able to see that because my face is in the way. There. Maintenance is 1. So every mining station you build is going to decrease your energy, and you want to keep that about even. So the first few should be minerals, and then after that you want, there's some energy, and then more minerals, and energy and minerals, and blah blah blah. A nice easy way of building up your mineral supply, it's not super easy, but it is easier, is to build buildings. Now buildings, so I'm going to select this, which is my main world. Right here you'll see this is like the passive thing that's on this plot here. If I put a person here, okay, so let's start with this. That was just surveyed. Good. I'm going to move her over, and then I'm going to continue that. All right, pause button pauses and starts the game. Good to know. Okay, so look at this. Oh, you can't see anything because my fucking thing's in the way. Let's move. Can we move this? Let's move this over to here. All right. We got a random event. Habitable world survey. Do we want to run around and find habitable worlds and get a bonus if we do it? Sure. And kind of look at our situation. Looks like if we find 8 habitable worlds, we get a bonus. Yeah. Let's look at this again, because I'm pretty sure most of this has not been able to be seen. Pause it. My science ship is done. Go explore here. Construction ship is done. It's got enough to build another one. So let's go ahead and build. Where's our energy? Energy. I know there's energy. 2 energy here. There it is. We'll build a mining station down there. All right. Here. So you see this guy? He's kind of like grayed out. It means they're building there. There's 2 food here. I'm not collecting this food. It actually tells me not collect it. I need a person here to collect it, or a dude here. So if I like just to drag this guy to here, I would collect this, but I would no longer be collecting this. The blue one that's growing tells you kind of where they're going to go next, but you can determine that up to you as you want. What is this? Science officer has gained a new world. Expertise new world. Who's that? Let's do leveled up. Research speed for new world. Okay. Anyway, so if I click here, if I want to build a mining network, it costs me 60 minerals, and it'll increase my mineral by 2. We'll get to this in a second as well. The nice thing about this is that it increases my minerals. But what it does do is, if I click on this, it'll say, hey, you can do that, but you're permanently going to get rid of that one passive green food thingy. So it's best to kind of keep these, because at the very beginning you're going to need every resource. So don't build anything on these that, I mean, it looks like everything's pretty much useful. But if I want to take this, I could clear this for 40 energy and 40, and then and this plot will become open, this mineral plot, which I kind of want, honestly. I'm going to do it. Bam! You see it subtracting my minerals and energy, and this is queued up to be done. It'll be done in 90, whatever that 90, I think it's 90 seconds. And then I can throw a guy on there. I'm not going to, because I need the population to swell before I can move them around. I mean, our population's still pretty low. At the beginning, you need food in order to make your population grow. Alright, let's take a look at this. So, we found an anomaly. Yay! Who found the anomaly? Where is this? You can click this little button here and it'll go to. It's nice. So it's this guy. Anomalies are like interesting things that can give you bonuses, give you little quest chains, stuff like that. This one's like a really high, it's a level 3 one, so there's 60% failure risk there. So it'll probably fail. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it be for now. Eventually I do want to do these. I'm going to go back and do this, but not right now, because 60% is a pretty high failure rate. Let's explode. I do leveled up. Okay, so what are we going to do? Basically, we're going to go around. We're going to build up our minerals. We're going to build up our energy. We're going to basically want as many minerals as we can to get going. Once my minerals get to like plus 50, I'll know that I'm getting somewhere. Let's take a look at this tropical world that we found. There it is. There's no bonus to it. It does have some alien pets on here, which is like a little resource you can collect. All these red tiles are tiles I can't clear until I research the relevant technology to clear them. And this guy's done. So, since he's done, you'll notice our energy's back up to plus 2. Let's send him down to build a mining station then. So anyways, that's what you want to do. You want to survey, move your ships around, surveying, finding the best possible spots, finding these anomalies. As your guys go up in level, these guys kind of level up, these anomalies will be easier to research, or without it failing and possibly exploding. You're probably going to want a few more ships eventually, because there's going to be pirates and a bunch of other junk. But for now, I'm just going to keep sending my guy around, my construction ship. I'm going to get a bunch of minerals. I'm going to get some energy to make those minerals go, those mineral mining factories go. And I'm going to keep exploring. It looks like I found another cool planet here. Tropical World. Oof, it's big too. You'll notice right there it says Tropical World 24. That 24 is how many slots it has to build on. So if I look at my home world, this is 18 slots to build on right there. 24 is really big. That's nice. I'm probably going to want to go there first. And then I got a 13 here. So we're going to keep doing this. Found another anomaly. Take a look. 40% failure rate. I'm going to leave that be for now. My next step is going to be, once I have enough minerals, I'm going to build a colony ship. I'm going to colonize probably here first, then maybe here. Did any of these have... Okay, so this Inari 1A it has a bleak modifier, which gives minus 5% habitability and minus 10% food. You want ones that are better than that. Nari 3 has high quality minerals, plus 25% minerals, that's cool. And unstable tectonics. Happiness down, engineering output up, and yeah. What's the last one? Oh, he doesn't have anything. Construction ship. So we're still at plus 1 energy, so I'm going to go ahead and go down and build a mining station. I'm actually digging how many minerals there are in this game. It looks like we went ahead and did this. There's no modifiers, but it's huge, and it's fucking large and in charge, and it's good shit. You will notice that, let's just talk real quick about this little weird green dotted line. See how it kind of blips out, goes around and blips out again? This is your sensor range, your active sensor range. So you can kind of see once my ship came over here, the active sensor range got bigger. You'll be able to tell any ships that come within range or other life forms that come within range and act accordingly. This guy's done. So it's not like there's not much up there. I'm gonna keep surveying. We haven't run into anybody yet, basically. All right, let's let's keep going. Might as well. Yeah, let's look at our traditions real quick. I'm not sure what I want for traditions. I might take expansion first. Expansion says our new when we do it, our new colonies start with 1 additional population, which is nice to get it kind of moving. What else we got? Effective tradition, population growth speed, colony development speed goes up, frontier outpost speed goes up. Kind of like prosperity too. Ship, private colony ships, energy grids, building upkeep. Real quick, I just want to show you something that you can do here. This construction ship, I got a lot of minerals, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. If you want to, so I'm going to hover over this. You'll notice that this has 3 minerals I'm collecting, 3 minerals I'm not collecting, and 5 energy I am collecting. If I want to just collect everything in there, I can right-click on it and build mining stations. It costs $270, so I don't have enough. And it'll just go around and queue and build all of those mining stations. That's handy. If I want to do it manually, I could go like build here, hold shift, and then build here, kind of a thing. And why don't we go ahead and do that? And then after those 2, I'll go ahead and build some more energy structures. So what are we going to pick? Expansion, prosperity, discovery, harmony. Kind of like the extra colonist. Yeah, I'm going to take expansion to start with. Adapting all expansion traditions increases our core systems by 2 as well, which is nice because our core systems is currently 5. After 5, we have to build sectors where they're kind of automatically do their own thing. Let's adopt that. Bam. So yeah, after 5 core sectors, or whatever your limit happens to be, you need to build sectors. You build sectors by going into constant sectors and creating sectors. We'll deal with that later. But anyways, everything that's created on that sector, I don't get all of. I get like 50% of, or whatever I set it, either 25%, 50%, or 75%. And then they kind of, you can't dictate building on them. They do their own building. They kind of figure out what they want to build. Yeah. I did get my first notice for negative energy balance. I basically noticed that I've built so many mineral mining platforms and I have a +0 for my energy credits. I'm going to ignore that. I'm not going to worry about it because I'm building another one right now. I'm going to go to my spaceport. Let's pause it real quick. And I'm going to build 2 more corvettes just because I'm feeling a little weak and vulnerable. I'm not going to go overboard because I do want more mining ships. So this is our first anomaly that might be worth it. 20% risk range. 20% is fine. I'm going to go ahead and do that. You do notice that when I hit research, this science ship started researching it. It queues the research above everything else. So it's going to research that what do you call it? That anomaly. And you can kind of look at it and it tells you what it's going to survey. It's going to investigate, and then it's going to investigate, and then it's going to right over, it's going to start surveying after that. Alright, so our ships are good. We haven't ran into anything else yet. I want to try to run into something real quick before we take our first break. But we're doing okay. Gigantic skeleton. So this is what the anomaly was. What was previously thought to be assorted mountains in the southern hemisphere of Erythis 8A have been identified as the massive skeletal remains of a single colossal alien life form. The bones have been dated as 3.4 billion years old, but our scientists have ruled out that the Erythis 8A could have supported life on that scale at any point in the moon's history. Science officer Boraki has prepared a special research project to delve further into the mystery. Fascinating. Okay, so let's push that. Let's give us a second to kind of look at it. So it goes to our quest log, our situation log. Now, if we do this, we basically need our scientist has to have level 3 or higher at that spot. You can hit track and show it where it is. It's right here. Our guy's not. He's level 2, I believe, right? Yeah. So when he comes to level 3, we can do that. When we do it, it's going to stop whatever research it has. So I think it's going to be probably society. So it'll stop our society research while we do that. But that's life. So we'll let it go. Once we hit level 3 for one of our leaders, we can take a look at our leaders. They're all level 2. Once we hit that level 3, we'll probably be good. Alright, construction ship's done. I'm going to send him over to build. Again, I can just right click and build mining network. What do we got here? Contact report. Deep space dwellers. The Federation of United Species is in a buzz with news of the alien orgasm encountered by the UAS Explorer some time ago. Seemingly native to deep space, they make the extremophile creatures of area appear frail by comparison. While some doubted encountering alien life was ultimately expected and anticipated, but nothing could have prepared expectant avian xenobiologists for the fascinating extreme conditions in which they thrive. Okay, so we found some space living organisms that are super amazing. Yay. We don't have to investigate them yet because there's nothing to investigate. You will notice that our Habitable World Survey quest is 3/8 of the way done. Alright, so our research was complete for the engineering. Remember that had a plus 12% instead of plus 2. So if we go to here, these guys still got 3 months. Why has this got 12 months? What happened there? Huh. Did I stop and research something? I don't remember. But anyways, we can now build mining networks 2. So let's pick up some. Ooh, I like a lot of these. I like fusion missiles. That like makes our weapons much stronger. I like nanodeposit armor. I like. I'm gonna go with that. All right. So let's look at. Ooh, no, the CyberX. Okay. There's a precursor level of quests that they throw at you. See, we're getting the precursor things. Basically means it's going to be a quest line that we got to find some artifacts as we go around and do shit. No big deal. What was I doing? I forgot. Damn it. That was interesting. Contact report remnants. Intelligent life, thoughts of probability. Reads the popular news of the post. People of the Federation of United Species apparently finding some humor in the fact that lower forms of life. Oh yeah, okay. So, if we go and look at our surface here, you'll see that we can upgrade this. We hit upgrade. It costs us 90 minerals, and it upgrades to 3 instead of, I think, what's the current one? 2. Yeah. So for 90 minerals, does this cost the same? What does this cost? Maintenance 1, maintenance 1.5. Okay, so maintenance does go up by 1. Yeah. But anyways, if we run out of like places to put mining stations down, we can always build them on our planet, or we can upgrade this now for 90. Upgrade. But I'd rather build a few more. Like I could build. It costs 90 to build it to get 3, or 90 to get 1 additional. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna build this later. And let's take a look. Science ship down here. Let's remember where we're at. Oof, it's gonna fill up quick. One thing you shouldn't be too concerned about is rushing to expand. I mean, you do want key areas. You don't want to be boxed in, but you can build a little tall, and you can focus on terraforming, and you can terraform every planet within your sector, and you can gather the resource directly from all those sectors, and you can build enough where you're okay. All right, we got our first faction. A new faction has been gaining traction in the internal politics landscape of the Federation of United Species, led by Governor Schrock. They call themselves the Democratic Rights League. So what does that mean? It means we have a faction. Factions are happy, and when they're happy, they give you influence. So as you can see, let's go down here, and I'm kind of waiting for one of my guys to get level 3 so they can do that thing. Oh, we got this thingy. What do we want here? I want farming subsidies, organic farming modules. Yeah, it's fine. Farming subsidies. So our faction, here's what they want. They want autocratic, which we are, reproductive freedoms, which we gave them, and anti-caste systems, which we gave them. So it all makes their happiness 62%. When that does, you get more this crap. What is it again? Influence from them. So we're getting a lot of influence. Plus 6 is pretty good. One thing that influence does that can eat away at it really quick is outposts. Once we put out outposts, we can basically build outposts to like declare an area ours. And once we do that, each one costs one permanent influence. So one thing you like to do is if there, like let's say up here, there's no real planet to colonize, but I want that area. If I go up there, I build a frontier outpost. It's called. It takes the one influence permanently, basically, until I get rid of it. And then it gives me another region which nobody can settle in until I do. So it's good to do when you're in the middle of when you haven't really colonized yet, but you want to. In fact, you know what? We have a lot of minerals. We're at plus 30 minerals already. How much for a freaking colony ship? 350 for a colony ship. Here's another anomaly, 10% failure risk. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this mining station. I'm going to build this energy station, and then I'm going to build my first colony ship. Now, one thing to be careful about with colony ships is while the colony ship is built, it costs 8 energy in upkeep. So if you spawn them with, like right now, 8 energies, I'm going to zip through real quick. So I can't really build that many. I just got a solar panel network, which I'll show you what it does, which is really good. What do I want here? I can build some deflectors, fusion reactor, and research speed. Both these are key components. We need the energy, and we need shields. But research speed's just a permanent bonus to our civilization, which will help us get this stuff a little faster. So I'm going to pick that. Where's my side ship? There it is. I haven't really found anything else yet, but battle debris. So this was the anomaly we found. A colossal space battle occurred in the high orbit of Jaraparithon 2 some 600,000 years ago, with ships from at least 5 different fleets participating in the Battle of 5 Armies. One of the fleets belonged to the Cybrix, although the vast majority of the orbital debris remains come from other participants. Remarkable. So that gives us a special kind of thing in the Cybrix thing. We need a level 4 scientist present to do that, which we're not going to have. This isn't the one we're going to... Ah, crap, it is. So I'm kind of a little disappointed here. Is this 3 minerals is on the place that we're going to colonize first. So, so it's kind of a waste, honestly. I should have figured that out first. 20%, I'll take it. This little thing here is society research. Once we build a research station there, we will get 2 permanent society research. We'll go from 6 to 8. And was I looking at my leaders? No. One thing of note is that the more colonies you build, and the more different colonies, the more your research costs, and the more your unity costs to get new unity. Okay, so that's about it. That's our first kind of beginning. How are we going to go? We're going to keep going, and we're going to keep exploring. We'll be back a little bit later, show you kind of a little bit more middle management kind of stuff. For now, I got a baby waking up, and I got to go take care of it, and we'll go from there. Okay, so one thing I wanted to show before we move on here is I built a colony ship. See, it's on its route there. You can see I'm -7 in energy credits while this is going to be building the colony. The building the colony takes better close to a year, so that's, you multiply 12 by 7, I'm going to lose 84 credits, or energy credits. I'm pretty low, so and once this is gone, I'll get those 8 back. You can just kind of see that it's really freaking expensive to build a colony when you don't have a lot of energy going on. But one thing I want to mention is when building a spot for a colony is that it directly influences where you put the colony head. So, see, I'm going to right click on here. I'm going to colonize a planet. It costs 30 of that influence, and it asks me where I want to put it. Now, wherever I put it, the adjacent 4 things are going to get bonuses. So, if you want, depending on what you want to like specialize a planet on, it might determine where you want to put it. I'll show you, for example, my home's territory here. This is the planetary administration of back home, and you'll see these little bonuses. Mineral, food, and energy outputs are all +1, +1, +1. So you definitely want to put it somewhere where you're going to be building food and energy or minerals. So let's take a look. Where are we going to be building food and energy and minerals? Well, this is okay, but we'll lose 1 for science here. That still might be my best one because everything else is kind of tied up. I guess, no. This is good right here. This will, because we put, okay, so this is good because we get bonuses to all 4 of these. However, you'll notice that this has like a little icon on it, right? This has got this Berythian stone. Eventually you'll get a kick-ass structure called the Berythian energy thing, which gives you 10 energy when you build it there, which is awesome. So we don't want to build it there. So I think I'm just going to build it here. We'll lose out on a bonus to our physics, but I don't see a better spot of putting it. Either way is going to get +3, and I'm fine with getting +4. So let's put our colony and build it here, and we're going to build it right here. Wow. What should we name our colony? I guess we don't have our name yet, do we? Well, we're bird people. Let's call it bird, birdie, bird, birdie, bird. All right, we'll build birdie, bird there. It'll take. It doesn't tell me how long. It does tell me how long, but I don't have time to look at it. So, but anyways, something to be aware of when you're placing your colony. Make sure you put it in a spot where you're going to get those adjacent food, mineral, or energy bonuses. All right, just a quick note. Wanted to get this in before we leave. I have a special project going, investigating my alpha aliens. Alpha aliens are some space-faring creatures that came thinking. It takes me a little while to investigate them, and I'm doing that at the expense of my society research. So basically you can do one or the other. Society research or kind of the quest log thing here. I decided to do this just because it's a little faster, only costs 60 society. But at the same time this is going to stop. So it's important to prioritize if you'd rather do this first or this first. When you do meet aliens, creatures, you're not going to be able to communicate with them until you do these things, or until you do a special project that allows you to kind of decode their language. So you get to prioritize if you want to be able to communicate with them or do your little research thing first. So it is important to have society research at the beginning. It makes it go a little bit faster. That's about it. We're taking off. I'm going to keep exploring, keep colonizing, kind of build my empire. And once we start to run into some advanced civilizations, hopefully we'll be back to talk a little bit more about their traits and their characteristics and go from there. So let's take a look at their statuses as we go. We still got just our 2 colonies, and I'll tell you the reason for this. I kind of screwed up a little bit because I built this colony before I had sufficient energy credits, so I was in the hole for a long time. When you go in the hole, everything slows down, and because that colony never finished, it kept draining 8 energy credits per turn. So I kind of screwed up. I didn't stockpile enough energy credits before I built that. I actually didn't think it would take as long to build the colony. I hadn't researched the technology that allows me for colonies to develop 50% faster, or the trait or whatever you call it, the tradition. This thingy right here, a new life. And colony development speed is increased by 50%. I thought I already had that. I didn't, so my calculations were a bit off, so that slowed me down pretty good actually. So let's look what we got. We got 2 frontier outposts down here. This one right here and this one here gives me a little bit extra to kind of start to develop. Because if you notice, I can't actually colonize this world until I get some more energy. I'm at +1. +1 is not a lot. In order to get these build these energy mines, so to speak, I had to build some frontier outposts over here. You'll see if I hover with influence, each of those frontier outposts cost me 2 influence forever, which is why I'm at +3 now, opposed to the 6 point instead of the 6.1 that I was at before. So that's something that eventually I want to replace with like colonies. So if I can get like a colony in the area, then I can remove that and I still keep control of the area around there. But for now, I don't see any planets that are habitable around there, so these are going to kind of stay for a bit. So I've just been exploring a little bit, moving along. I got a small fleet. It's 10 stars, 10 corvettes. It gives you the relative power of 267. And what I've run into is there's these void cloud creatures. These void clouds are pretty strong, 554, and this one up here is 554 as well. So they kind of bar my progress that way. Like I can't take those guys on yet. They're hostile, they're reds, they're hostile. I did research them, and it did give me this Cloudbuster modifier, which gives me 10% extra damage to them, but that's not going to be enough. So we're just going to kind of stay clear of them for a little bit. I can't even survey those areas because they'll attack my science ships as well. One thing I wanted to mention. Oops, too late. It's already my. So one thing I wanted to mention was the actual location versus relative location of systems. So let's look at Kazit here. I haven't surveyed it yet, but you can see the star looks like it's kind of in my border. So you'd think that's anything here I should be able to build on. But the actual location of the star is here. You see this? There's this little line and circle too. So I actually can't because the actual location is here. They just put the name here. It's based on kind of because the map is three-dimensional. You can move it up and down and stuff. So for a while, this was within my borders, but this relative or the actual location was just outside my border, so I couldn't build these. But that just changed over like a second ago, so it doesn't really help you. But it does mean that I can build some more mining outposts there and stuff. So that's going to be me. I don't think I have any. I've just been doing some of these precursor things. The habitable world survey is almost done. I need one more habitable world, then I'll get whatever that is. And I think that's about it. I did want to mention. Oh, that's the same guy. I did want to mention the species thing. So, so we found these Harun civilizations. If you look down here. Right, they're actually in my area too, so they're right down here. On this world here, I go to the summary, there is a primitive civilization. They're in the atomic age. They're not that primitive. Basically, you can find primitive, non-spacefaring civilizations starting from the Stone Age all the way up to the Space Age, and they kind of progress as the game goes along. And after the Space Age, they come out. They start their own little empire, and they start doing things. Now they're small, and but they are there. One thing we can do on these is we can actually build an observation post. And once we do that, monthly maintenance is 3, which is kind of a lot for this early in the game. But once we do that, it allows us to kind of guide them into whatever ethos we have, so they have about the same ethos, and it actually allows us to try to infiltrate and diplomatically annex them as well, which is kind of cool. So that might be something we do. However, when we do that, what's going to happen is with these species thing right here, they're going to be part of our empire, and then we're going to be a dual species empire. This will no longer. Where's our species demographics? This will no longer all be Avery. It'll be whatever the hell these guys are. There are Han. They're egalitarian like us, which is cool, and fanatic xenophiles. So they're kind of like us. They're very similar to us. So that won't really change much. But one thing that's kind of cool is we can actually go in and set their rights. Where's their rights? I thought I could set it from there. Species. Oh, here we go. So they're not in our empire yet, but eventually they will be. And then once we do, they'll be here. They'll show up, and we can set their rights. Like we can say that they cannot be full citizens. They can only be residents, or put them in a caste system, or what have you. Most of these are grayed out for us because of our egalitarian ideals. But it allows us to increase our living standards, which can increase happiness, but increase consumer goods use and stuff like that. We can press them in the military service. We can allow them to colonize. We can even say that they can't reproduce or they can't migrate and stuff. And again, later on, we can genetically modify them, which is kind of neat. So it allows you to kind of make the species go the way you want it to. Or if you want to turn them all into synthetics and robots, you can, in which case nobody uses any food. They all just use energy, which is kind of neat as well. So that's it. I just want to mention those two things. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep moving. My immediate small goal is to kind of set up a perimeter here. So get all this stuff in here. Set up a perimeter like around here. It would be really cool if I could get all the way to there. And then maybe kind of explore this area too. It'd be kind of neat just because it's not super far away. And colonize tropical worlds. Maybe colonize ocean worlds. I think there's one up here as well. And then just keep building as many mining outposts and build up our fleet a little bit. One thing I haven't mentioned yet, is our fleet capacity. Our naval capacity is currently at 17 sizes of ships. So if you look at the ship designer, currently all we can build is corvettes. We haven't upgraded our we haven't upgraded our technology to build anything else. And once we do, we'll go back through this and we'll talk about what you can do in here and different cores you can put on there and stuff like that. But unfortunately, we have no technology yet that's done anything. So Corvettes cost 1 unit of space. As you go up, they cost 2 and 4 and 8, I think, because they're bigger. How we derive this is based on, if you hover over, it tells you exactly how you hover over. You get a base of 10, we get 3 from our population and 4 from spaceports. Another thing I didn't mention, so when I built Birdie Bird here, I immediately built the spaceport. The reason I immediately built the spaceport is because it allows me to put these modules on, and this module right here is a solar panel network. It gives me 3 energy credits, which at the beginning of the game I'm completely dependent on energy and minerals, because I build so many mining networks that my energy use goes skyrocket. So you always want to, and additionally, I mean, if you take a look, our fleet has a 267 combat value, not that great. This the spaceport has a 1.1 thousand, or 1100, which basically means this space station could destroy our fleet 4 or 5 times over easily. So it's good defense early on. You know, you put a spaceport there, you don't have to worry about pirates or marauding, just weird crap coming through, because they're going to be able to protect themselves really good. Additionally, these modules are cool. They do a lot of neat stuff. And as we upgrade our ship, we don't have the technology, but as we upgrade these spaceports, we're going to be able to put more modules on there, like research labs, different types of ports to build different types of ships that are faster and cheaper, that kind of stuff. Build utopian shipyards, and go from there. So yeah, a lot of stuff to do. I'm gonna probably keep going. We still haven't run across another race, which is kind of neat. We're just doing some of these precursor things as we go. Maybe we'll grab this as well. But anyway, sorry, I was talking about this naval capacity. So the naval capacity, also what these spaceports do is it allows us to increase our naval capacity. And honestly, that's going to be important, especially if we run into hostile races that want to kick our ass. We're going to need a big navy, a big, powerful navy that can defend ourselves, even more so than the spaceports. But we'll get to that eventually. But for now, I'm just going to keep exploring, keep going, and I'll be back when I think we're kind of consolidated and ready to go. So until then, keep exploring, keep going.